What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. We've got a fun evening planned. I give myself like a 10 out of 10 for, scheduling everything out perfectly, having everything set up. We we nailed it. Just nailed the mother. Just nailed the mother. A lot of rude people in the chat, by the way. Let's see. Everything seems to be situated on my end. Everything should be going. A -0. Don't try to lie. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. It was perfect. Yeah, so the thing is with Melon app, which is kind of like StreamYards, you have to, while you can set it up, like you can put in your destinations and you can set everything up to like go once you say you're going live and stuff like that. Whoops. But the thing is because Odyssey and Rumble aren't a normal stream setup, I have to manually set everything on each website. Technically, I mean, the YouTube works fine, but Rumble and Odyssey, you got to set it up a specific way. And then once you get the unique, especially with Rumble, because Rumble, it's like the unique key. And then you have to put that in. So you literally have to set everything up and then put in your destination for wherever you're multi-streaming. And it's, sometimes things aren't set up. Some stuff say, you're going at 6:30. Other ones say it's 7. Some say it's 8. Who knows? Who knows? But because I love you guys so much, we went ahead and went early. And so there's Shane. Shane in the chat. So we'll grab that sucker. What up, dude?
You live already? Am I late?
I am. A lot of people were yelling at me saying that I was late and gay. And I said, no, it's not true whatsoever. And then, of course, they had to be smartasses about it and say, well, YouTube says you're going live at 6:30. And then Rumble's saying you're going live at 8. And
yeah, mine said 8. I was just chilling outside drinking coffee. I came back in here and I saw your message.
No. I'm sure for YouTube, I just forgot I said schedule, but I forgot to actually change it to 7. But the weird thing is that I think Odyssey is Eastern time. So when I said it, I thought I said it at 7 p.m., which is my time. So
yeah, usually like when you said 7, I figured okay for us it'd be 8. So
yeah. That should. Everyone be bitching. So I jumped on and I was like, oh my gosh, we're here. This is a rare treat for people. Yeah. But yes, I mean, 4 minutes.
What's been the topic? What I miss? I miss anything?
No, I literally just got on and yelled at everybody for being very mean and saying I'm going bald. And that
you're going bald?
Yeah.
Is that why the hat? I wear a hat. I'm going bald too. I'm up there. I'm with you, buddy.
Oh no. The hat honestly was just for like, I don't know, to give my persona, I guess you could say, an extra oomph. But I am going bald. I mean, that was accepted long ago.
Yep. I got my dad's hairline.
So, but people were like, oh, Greg's memory is like his hair. He's losing it. And I'm just like, what did I do to deserve this? I'm just an innocent pup. I'm just an innocent pup whose hand was twitching with rage as I was hovering over the band section to many, many people.
That's
But
kind of an
I held
interesting
it
thing,
back.
though. Like people
What's-
our age, like doing YouTube, like once we're like in our 60s. Can you imagine what that's going to be like? I'm sure YouTube won't be around; it'll be something else by then, but it'll still be funny.
I think it'll be absolutely hilarious, and I cannot wait for it. Because my brother said that at one point. He's like, you're not thinking you'd be doing this forever. I was like, of course I will. If it's my main gig, why wouldn't I?
Like, oh, there's them old guys again talking about them old animes and shit.
You know what? That's perfectly fine because we'll be the ballers of the time.
Yeah.
But yes, let us welcome again Shane from King Toad Incorporated. Joel sent me a message early saying he'll be a little bit late, but he will be on later. So right now we got one half of King Toad Incorporated. The other one, or do you guys? Is it 3 people? I thought it, or is it just you two?
It was originally 3. But it's just me and Joe.
Oh, okay. Because I knew at some point I thought at least in Joe's bio, I think it said 1/3. So I'm like, wait a minute, who's the other person?
Yeah.
Ryan, the editor, what's up?
Hey.
Everyone's saying hello. And then of course, I kind of looked in, Shane, at like your end when you're like a guest. You should be able just to click all the sides and see like the chat and stuff like that. Like, so yeah, feel free to do whatever.
Yeah, I'm used to StreamYard. This one's it's not too different at all, really.
Yeah. Melon app is pretty funny. It's literally an alternative to StreamYard because like you're saying it's like very similar. It's cheaper if you get the pro version, but here's another funny thing. Because I forget how much StreamYard costs. This is cheaper than StreamYard's, but if you like sign up and immediately cancel, they'll go, well, wait a minute. We'll give you this special essential deal, which is even cheaper. It's like you just
like, wait before you go.
pretty much. And the only thing, like, you unlock everything, and the only thing there one is, in the lower right corner is the powered by a Melon app sort of thing, which you could just make as small as possible and just shove it like a gimp in the box sort of thing.
I do that with some like when I do like little promo pieces or have like an app and I'll put all the pieces together. And instead of paying for it, because if you don't pay for it and you hit save, it leaves that logo on there. I'm like, I'll just screenshot this shit. That's what I do. I just screenshot it, then exit out, and then I just paste or cut it from there. I'm like, save myself.
Well, technically, I know. Yeah, I know exactly. But once we become really rich, it'll be pennies to us. Pennies. And plus, I've yes, and then of course I've also looked on YouTube, and I know other people who've done it too. I never just sat down to look into it, but I've known people who pretty much use the free version and they can combine their like StreamYards and OBS together and like literally crop anything. So you can easily hide the watermark. I don't know how, that's a little fishy. I mean, I don't care either way.
Yeah.
So nothing too much like planned per se. I just wanted, Shane and Joe when he gets here, maybe just to go down a little bit of the history of how you guys met and what prompted you to what prompted you to like start up your own or company. How long have you guys known each other? Pretty much the history and stuff. Then wherever the conversation takes us, it'll take us, because there has been a lot of goodies happening in the news, and it's so easy just to because I found some awesome websites that I can just go to, and then if it like catches my eye, I'm like, oh, that'll be interesting to learn about. So I usually just look at the articles and stuff like that and give people my first impression sort of thing. And also we are live also on Odyssey and Rumble. The thing with Rumble is you either have to pay for a membership or to use the live stream or get at least 100 followers, and then I guess it becomes available to you. So I ask folks to check me out over there. Shane, are you guys on like the Odyssey and that stuff, or mostly just like Twitter and your Indiegogos and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't do that. I haven't done Odyssey.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm live over there, so follow me on the alt tech as well, because even though we're called to, kind of take action and fight on the battlefield, the enemy battlefield, that you always want to have that alternative as well. And I guess Rumble is like really climbing up there, and I'm sure Odyssey as well. It's your pros and cons of whichever one.
Hey, I must be like really behind. I don't even know what Odyssey is. I was like, I don't know.
Odyssey. I mean, it
I don't
is.
think I can think of as Odyssey. I thought there was like a headset thing, a virtual thing. That's the last thing I think was Odyssey that I'm thinking of. But
Yeah, I. There was a place a long time ago that was called vid.me, and they were trying to compete against YouTube. And I'm not sure if like that got shut down eventually. And I don't know if that transformed into Odyssey. I think Odyssey was its own thing. But
okay.
since the whole I mean pretty much 2016 and the way things are going now, people started really climbing aboard the alternative tech to fight against the censorship and all the bullshit that
Now, do you use Twitch for your gaming as
Twitch. I
well?
do, yes. I multi-stream on YouTube and Twitch. um I used to be an affiliate, and I purposely dropped the affiliate status because while the bits and like the subscriptions are good, like if we're talking cut wise between just YouTube and Twitch is better for getting more, you getting paid more, and I guess I would assume deals for other people. You Twitch's terms of service with affiliate, you have to wait 24 hours if you want to then upload whatever game you were playing to YouTube. So theoretically, you can't multi-stream. I know people who do multi-stream, and if you're not really big, they're not really going to do anything. But
All
then
right.
I've also read like exactly, it's like what exactly does affiliate do for you aside this and that? Because really the big stuff is being partnered, obviously. Like the affiliate gets thrown around a lot like that. And honestly, it was one of those things where it felt like every time I would say I'm specifically going on this platform, and then I would once in a while do like, hey, I'm multi-streaming, the other platform would get the attraction. So then
Hmm.
it'd be like, well, what's the point of doing that? And then switch over to there and then do it again. And then the other one, there would be more people. And I'm just like, I can't win. Like, I don't know where to go.
There's so many just popping up left and right, trying to be like the next thing.
Yeah, yeah. I ultimately I would like to do what other people do. Like, for example, Nick, his show is on YouTube, and right now he's, unfortunately has the strike on doing Odyssey and Rumble. But when he games, he'll be specifically on Twitch. Obviously, that would probably be the best ideal sort of thing. Um, but we're right now I'm multi-streaming and I'm working on it. So I don't know. Do
Hey, you're
you do
figuring it
you
out.
game like live game stream live at all, or
No,
thought about it?
I think people would hate seeing me like. I think I'd be boring. I'm I started playing Final Fantasy VIII again because we were talking about old games the other day. I'm like, man, I kind of feel like I got this Final Fantasy bug going. I was
There
trying
you
to pick,
go.
and I was like, which one haven't I not beaten? And I never beat Final Fantasy VIII, but with the Final Fantasy games, there's a lot of farming you do. So
Hmm.
I don't know if it'd be that interesting to be honest, because I'll just be sitting there, farming and then going after bosses or whatever. So
So funny enough, since I've been playing Pokemon White 2, I've had some new people showed up on Twitch, and they were Pokemon people. They like really liked it. They're like, yeah, I can help you explain what IVs are and stuff like that, because I've heard about it, but I never sat down and really got to be like, okay, watch the IVs and the EVs and all that stuff. Like that's just over my head. I'm like, I don't want to think that hard, even though I'm sure it's not super difficult to learn. But
was it the EV evolutions? Is that what it is?
well, I think so, but I think it also stands for something else. I think it's like maximizing like your stats as well, or
Oh,
like sort of thing. See, I still get confused on it. Oh, Chaos Smash has Says Shane rocking that Demon Slayer shirt.
I am.
Very nice. And I am
You know what I like about this anime?
I'm
Oh,
rocking
Dragon Ball Z.
the
I like it
Dragon
because
Ball
there's like
Z.
one season, so I was able to just watch it and catch up. Like I'm still trying to. I was watching My Hero Academia this morning, still trying to catch up on it. I thought I was like almost there, but I think there's like 5 seasons of that.
So
I'm
the
on season
last
4.
one I saw, well, I don't want to spoil
I
anything.
didn't watch the movie yet, though. I do need to still watch the movie that came out.
Oh, I'm referring to My Hero.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not Demon Slayer. I keep being told to watch Demon Slayer.
It's
I'm
really
slowly...
good. The only thing I don't like about it is the comic relief best friend kind of. I mean, he's not really a best friend. He's just another one of the I don't know what you call him. Pretty much a demon slayer. He's training to be a demon slayer as well, but he's like scared of everything. I'm like, you have your main character has to do all this hard shit, and then you got this other character who's like in the same class as him, who like is just crying all the time. He has a really annoying voice. I'm like, why is this fucking kid here? Like, it's really weird when the Japanese people just like create these characters that like I don't know how they fit in the universe. I'm like, I guess because it's really weird because like 1 minute the show will be like really serious or have like one of my favorite parts of it was when they fought the demons in the woods and they're like half spiders. So they go in there and like there's another team and they've all been like pretty much killed or they're like hung up in the webs up above and a lot of blood, a lot of just killing and stuff. You know, so you got crazy shit like that going on where like people's getting dismembered, and then they're going to like a character who's just like feels like he's out of a SpongeBob episode. I'm like, so weird.
Gosh.
It's just a weird mix when they do that with anime sometimes.
Like, is it specifically the character that's trying to be the comic relief during like the very serious times, or is it like you just have this huge serious moment and then there's like a scene inserted where it's like such trying to be funny and stuff, and it just is super jarring.
He's not quite like a Jar Jar Binks kind of scenario. Like,
gosh.
But it's just, I don't know. You must have to just watch it, I guess. I don't know how to explain it.
I get you. I get what you're saying. Yeah. The last My Hero one I saw was there was like another movie. I didn't see the new movie.
Is there 2 movies? Is there 2 movies?
Yeah, there were some My Hero movies.
Oh no, I was thinking of this. Sorry. Yeah, I know there's a couple.
No.
Hero. Yeah.
Yeah. The last My Hero thing that I saw had to involve with the school and what's his name, Sir Gentleman or something like that. Have you ran into a character like that?
I don't know. Hey, I'm sure probably.
Probably.
You know what I like about the show?
That's how up to date I was on My Hero.
Since you're an '80s guy, do you remember Muscle Men?
I
like
remember
Muscle Men, like characters.
Yeah, I remember the characters. I've seen them. I never watched it or anything. But that sounds.
They did have a '90s cartoon. Now in the '80s, I don't think we actually had the cartoon as much as it was just the collecting of them.
Yeah,
and they all had like different looks, and that's what that's what the anime reminds me of. I like how they just have like so many randomized heroes and villains, and it's just a weird universe because like I just wonder like, that if you go to that school and you fail as a hero, or I just wonder like it really hasn't showed them out in the real world if you fail. Like what happens like if you're like the hairy guy with the one eye. I saw this. It was a character I ran into recently in one of the episodes. I'm like, what happens if he fails? Does he go out and like does he just become like a Walmart employee? You got this big hairy guy because they seem pretty happy. Nobody's like, oh shit, I'm this mutated. Like there's one main character. He has like a big kangaroo tail. That's his whole power. He just got a big kangaroo tail.
Yeah, some of them.
I'm like, what happens if you fail? Like he's like, well, I'm just this genetic freak. This one.
Yeah, some of them
ugly tail. Like it's such a weird. I didn't make
it. Yeah,
like,
some of them just don't have good powers, but you're gonna be seeing them because they're not too OP. Because I remember someone telling me, the creator, he'll take ideas from people, but if the power's like ridiculously good, like stupidly good, expect that person to die because he can just ruin anything, sort of thing. Or like get stopped right away per se. I love Stain. Stain was my favorite character. I love
Which one was
that.
he?
The guy that was the hero killer. He was the guy with all the swords, kind of looked
Oh yeah,
venomish
yeah.
and stuff like that.
I think with me right now, he's still like locked up. I don't know if he comes back out. I figure he probably
I
shows up.
hope he does come out because pretty much his ideology is what affected the whole town and kind
Yeah,
of
it got
gets
everything started. Right.
the villains the motivation, while some people had their differently. I liked him just because he was like, he pretty much called them out as like, you guys are using the, pretty much the hero identity as just a means.
Yeah.
He calls them fakes pretty much, which I love because I'm like, oh, absolutely. Like, because, a lot of people are just doing it, claiming they're doing it for the good of mankind, but in the end are doing it for the popularity or what have you, sort of thing. So I
Yeah.
really, actually, my roommate told me there was a spin-off that takes place in the My Hero Academia universe, but it's with a different character. And I think Stain's like a part of it. It's like where it's like specifically for like anti-heroes, which I'm a big anti-hero person, so I probably should check it out. I can't for the life of me remember it. I feel so bad because he recommends all these good stuff and then I just forget about it, or getting upset because I hate the VO community that's ruining everything.
Mm. Did I read My
Shane,
Hero? No, I haven't. I haven't read it.
oh, you saw that? I was gonna say, yeah. My Hero Macadamia.
Right. Right now, I'm reading Chainsaw Man. Is that how you say it?
I've
I think
seen
this is it,
stuff
right?
about that. Is that pretty good?
So far, I'm liking it. I know it's got its own anime coming out, so I'm trying to get through as much as I can before that hits. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I like the concept. The main character's a little weird. He's a very very horny guy. His whole
Oh,
like thing's
really?
just like he's just like I just want to get laid, and touch a boob.
But is
Like
that
he
the
literally just
one,
talks about trying to touch a boob like for the first like
dude? Very smooth. Like a goal that I think any man should
yeah.
have planned at some point.
Yeah,
But we
but
all
like
we all promote.
it has some intense moments in it. I mean, a little bit of a spoiler is like he gets like fucking hacked up. Like uh he owes like he doesn't really owe a debt, but I think it was his brother
He's a
or his
man.
father who owed a debt, and he's just paying it off. Like it got thrown onto him,
Oh,
and so he's in the middle of killing demons with a little demon dog, and then the organization that he was working for betrays him and doesn't want his service anymore. So he gets attacked by these demons, and they fucking like. I mean, he gets like they chop his arms off, his head off, his legs, and they just throw him in a dumpster with his
oh
little
shit!
dead dog. It's like holy shit! Like so, it's got
Ouch.
some pretty cool like
So is he
imagery.
is
And
he
then
kind of like a Deadpool person? Because he like connect
the
back
girl,
together and stuff like that?
another organization that actually hunts the demons, gathers his parts back up, and they actually combine him with the demon dog, and the demon dog's inside of him, and so he's got a little chainsaw pulley thing that he activates his ability. So he's like, because he was just human, but with the demon dog, it kind of turned him into a
Dang.
hybrid, I guess.
Is that the one where like literally it's the chainsaw head?
Yeah, and it could come out of his hands as well. He can only go so long because he'll start running out of blood. But then I don't know, one of
Damn.
the last ones I read, he started feasting on the demon's blood, which kept him going. So I think as long as he's feasting on blood at the same time.
There you go. Kind of have like a Venom thing going where he needs the stuff in the brains, but then find out that chocolate can also give him that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But like I say, it's got some funny humor stuff like like I say, he wants for the first while he just wants to kiss a girl or at least touch a boob. And this one girl from the academy, she has like eye patch, and she's all like, just kind of like the tramp of like like everybody's like, oh, we've all been kissed by her, dude. And he's like, whoo, sweet, I get a chance to get a kiss. And they're at like this little party, and she goes in to give him a kiss, and of course they're kissing. All of a sudden, his cheeks just fill up, and she like threw up in his mouth, and like there's like a scene where he's just like, and it's like vomits like coming
Oh
down.
my
Like
gosh.
so, like first kiss ever. It's like just vomit, and they're all making fun of him. Like, dude, you're always gonna remember this is your first kiss.
Oh
I
man.
think he's like 16. He's young.
Chaos Smash says he sounds like a man of culture. And sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good so far.
Yeah, the last manga I've read really was Fist of the North Star or Hokuto no Ken. I'd recommend that one. That one's awesome.
Hmm.
Oh, disgusting. I like it, says Chaos Smash. Yeah, if you like vomit, sure. Ryan, the editor, says, long live the queen. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The queen passed away. What, how, 90 something?
96, I think.
96. Her and Betty White didn't make it to that 100, almost. But not
They
quite
they
there.
didn't take it from the Japanese. Japanese know how to live the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
They
longest.
do everything better than us.
I know, because they know how to. Oh yeah, yeah, that's what he does. He's like Bruce Lee with the noise making, but he like hits your pressure points and causes you to like explode.
Oh yeah, I mean, you talked about that last time. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's actually a really good one. And like some of the Fist of the North Star, the movie, that's kind of like mushes in a bunch of stuff together and changes some stuff, but for the most part, a lot of the concepts the same.
Man,
That's a good one if you kind of want to get like your like have a dive into that series. It's really good. I love
don't have
that
my
one.
phone on me. I can't remember all I'm reading right now. Like I said, I got the app, the Shonen Jump apps, where I'm mostly reading stuff on. I'm trying to make it through Claymore. Is that how you say it? I think
Yeah,
it's
someone
an older
recommended
one.
Claymore to me too.
Yeah, I've been reading it because I actually did watch that one. I don't know if it was on Netflix or whatever, but it was only so many episodes.
Yeah.
And it's like I say, it only got one season, and I don't think they ever made it anymore. I'm hoping the manga went on. At least I'm hoping. Because it
Yeah.
was actually really cool. I like the idea of it. And then
Yeah.
again, like it seems like the Japanese really love to use this. People go out and hunt demons. I noticed there's a theme. With a lot
Oh
of the
yeah,
anime.
they're really going with the demon hunting sort
Yeah,
of
a lot of
thing.
demon hunters out there.
Probably all based on Yu Yu Hakusho, which I
Mm.
believe Bleach actually was. I think the creator said that he was influenced by Yu Yu Hakusho, which is good, by the way. That's a great 90s series. Sadly, they moved the Shonen Jump app, moved its ecchi stuff to the Plus version. Oh, of course. Of course they're going to do something like
The
that.
plus version, huh? I don't know what the plus version is. Maybe I just got the normal version. I don't know.
Probably going to have to. Well, I guess this would be a good transition because I found something funny. Found an article on Bounding into Comics. So we'll pull that up. Speaking of ecchis and stuff like that, so apparently Square Enix removes Black Bar censorship from the Manga Up app. So check this out, Shane. So I guess this the Manga Up app has an AI that looks into the manga panels and then makes a determination of what needs to be centered or censored. So they're stuff like stuff like this. But it's very very it's like the AI is terrible because they'll do stuff like this. Where they'll censor this knee because they think it looks like a penis for some weird reason.
Oh, I was thinking it's like back in the day where you can't show like your ankles or something. They're like, oh,
yeah,
sexy kneecaps.
No, yeah. According to this, yeah, it's like seemingly done by AI. This needless and overt censorship was applied to everything from actual sexualized imagery to suggestive drawings.
Wait, is
knees.
this on like an app of like stuff that you're reading? It's all censored like that?
Yeah, it's called the Manga Up app, and it's just the way the AI in the.
Do you have to pay for it?
I have no idea if you have to pay for it, but I guess a lot of people are complaining about it because of the terrible censorship that the AI is doing.
What's the point? Like if to censor anime, it's like just don't offer the anime then. What's the point? Plus,
we're men. Like we like this stuff, so like we're not young,
Yeah, it's like,
and I'm the fan of Hideaki Anno, where he said
it's like the Americans just like going through their censorship of shit. Like, yeah, it's like getting more popular here, so now all of a sudden we got to be like, oh, this is too much. Can't handle this. We can watch Game of Thrones, but don't show them kneecaps.
Dude, it's like insane. Like, because I remember learning about this going back in college to where, like, because we talked about censorship, and in my liberal art college that I went to, we always talked about the theory and stuff like that, and you had all those fun conversations, which was good in the end because if you could just bullshit your way through the class, you pretty much got an A. But we talked about that and how, like, over on the east side, sexualization is like nothing, but the violence and the gore gets heavily censored, while over here the violence and the gore um
It's
you know
fine. But
doesn't get super censored, and but the sexualization of stuff does, which I can I do agree to a certain extent, especially with kids and, like, the grooming at Disney and all those bullshits and all those disgusting freaks. But then part of me goes, Hidekiano said that people should learn the reality of life at age 14. That's the guy who did Ava.
okay.
So I say teach them while they're young. Let's see. Chaos Smash says Square doing move stupid shit.
Well, to me,
Okay.
like anime was never really to me. It's just not meant. It was never designed, I should say. I feel like anime was never designed for like a young audience. Now, if you want to make younger audience anime and manga, then make it. That's what Pokemon and shit like that's for. I still enjoy those just as much.
See,
But there's
I
stuff
think
that's just not that for that audience. Don't put it on the same apps if you don't want. Make
I
two
I
different
agree with
versions of
you.
the app. Like, okay, if you're this age, you gotta, prove that, I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I agree.
that's how
I
it's
agree
always been.
exactly what you said, and I think that's what made the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s like blooming in with anime and manga, because it was to be obvious. And a prime example actually could be is Dragon Ball Z, because back in the day, like, you could tell just by the rating, it was rated for teens. So there was like blood, there was swearing and stuff like that, and it was to be expected. But now, since they're trying to reach into a broader audience, now they're going back and changing it to like PG and stuff like that. And it's like what you said. It just doesn't work because, like, it just seems like it was always that way. It was always covering
Yeah.
topics that were like serious for the most part, unless it's like a comedy or that sort of stuff. So I agree with you on that one. I think that's why it was so bad. Well, that's why all the old shows are just so badass, because it's like, not to
Well, the weird
mention
thing
you
about
had
the censorship is like with anime and manga, like there's so much of it out there. There's a reason like a certain one's popular because it has the right formula. But then if you start censoring it, you take away the ingredients. It's just me. It's just kind of a mind blowing thing. I'm like, that's what if it's drawing in the audience and it's got a following, all the ingredients are working.
Mhm.
Maybe it doesn't work for the 13-year-old. Just once you start censoring it, the audience starts moving to something else. Like what's I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just
I think it's almost to the point where it's like it's insulting in a way, because a lot of people, I guarantee you, are like, in the 30s, 40s, even 50s. And let's be real, the future generation, they're starting to do stuff at a way younger age than what,
yeah.
that was. Where's your Nico says, where's my boy Joe Ball? He is a bad man. And
I don't know where he
it,
is. My phone's like way over there, so I don't know if he's texting me or not. But
and well, he sent me a DM. He's
okay.
just going to be a little bit late. He made prior obligations that when I pitched a time of when we could go live, said it was fine, but then learned that it wasn't fine.
You've
But
learned
then
the
again,
Joe Ball
apparently
way.
I was half an hour late on YouTube at least. Where's the possible serial killer? Oh yeah, did I ever tell you that, Shane? Did I tell you that when you were on? So like when I was looking up Joe's name and his info, there's actually a serial killer named Joe Ball.
Oh no.
Yeah, and he has like all these nicknames and stuff. So I introduced him when he was on the show as said serial killer, but I had told him about it. I'm just like, but yeah, apparently you're named after a serial killer. So
That's
unfortunately,
funny.
Shane, there was no one that I could find based on you. So you're just a
Oh,
normie,
man.
I guess. Chaos Smash has a
Dissidia.
question for you, Shane. Out of curiosity, have you played Dissidia on PSP? Final Fantasy
Yeah, it says no, I never played. That's like it's like a fighting game, right? Dissidia. You can pick the different characters and fight.
I am not the best Final Fantasy uh,
If what I'm thinking of,
person of
they made
knowledge.
2 of them as well, right? There's 2 of them.
Oh,
But no, I never did play the Final Fantasy Dissidia. I never had a PSP, or I would have.
Yeah, I
Because they
never
also
had.
made a side game for Final Fantasy VII where you get to play as Zack. I believe that was on the PSP as well. I always wanted to play that, but I never got to it. But I can't remember. I can't remember if when I did play the Final Fantasy VII remake, and I'm trying to remember if I got to play Zack in that for a little bit. This is how I'm getting old. I just forget stuff all the time.
Yeah, that was my first Final Fantasy VII experience was the remake, but I do plan.
Oh no!
Oh
It's
no,
so
trust me, I still plan to
it was
play
so
the original.
boring. I don't know what it is about. It looked good, but they advertise that so much differently. They're like, oh, I figure, okay, so it's only going to cover the very beginning of Final Fantasy VII for one, where it's mostly in Midgar. I was like, all right, this is going to be kind of cool that like maybe you get to explore all Midgar. No, that's not the case with that game. It still felt it was very path based, and the side missions on that Final Fantasy remake were so horrible. It's like I remember when you get into like the slums or something, and then like you literally have a mission where it's just like, oh, these cats are running around. Got to go Cloud Strife. This ex-soldier needs to go run around and find these 3 cats. I'm like, this is the side missions you're giving me. This is horrible, and it's so boring. Like the I don't know, the AI or just like just characters standing around just felt very stiff.
Yeah,
For a game that was developed for a long time. Like they've been talking about the Final Fantasy VII remake forever. And it just, I don't know, it felt, I don't know, it still felt rushed for something that took forever graphically. I mean, but my thing is like, I'm not always a graphics guy. It's like any movie. Like I'll go into it like, oh, it might look good, but how long does that last before you're like 15 minutes into a movie, you're like, I don't give a shit if the movie sucks.
Oh no, I agree.
That's how
I
I am with
agree. Yeah,
a lot of
graphics
games.
at this point, graphics should not play a part in anybody's review because the graphics should be top notch at this point.
Yeah, there's a couple things they changed in Final Fantasy VII remake that I thought was interesting, like with Avalanche. I know you probably don't know what I'm talking about. Some of you in the chat might know. You did play it though, right? You said in remake.
Yeah, I played it. This was the greatest sin they could have ever done.
What, the Final Fantasy? Oh, the remake nerfed tip is.
That was the greatest sin. I at least thought because I knew about that.
Yeah, well, and the original one too, Avalanche, they all die, but they kept them. They kept Biggs lived, and Jesse, I think, lived.
Avalanche, is that the
that's the group at the beginning with him, where Barrett comes from? Because Barrett obviously lived. It was his little organization. Barrett's the black guy with the machine gun hand. That Avalanche is what Cloud.
Oh no, they
Cloud
died.
teamed up with them. Huh?
They died in the remake.
No, they lived.
One guy got crushed, I thought.
Yeah. The one guy.
One guy got crushed, and I thought.
But Jesse made it, right? Jesse made it, and then
Jesse made it.
Biggs got like thrown out the window with the weird wraiths, because the wraiths were never in the Final Fantasy VII. I don't know exactly what that was.
That one, I don't know.
Yeah, I still, even after playing, I'm like, I don't know what these are supposed to. I don't know if they were part of Mother. I don't know if it was the Sephiroth's mother type thing going on, or if it had to do with Sephiroth. I don't know.
Yeah, 7. I still want to play the original for sure, though. 3 members of Avalanche were killed in the original, but now in the remake, they're reviving them.
Correct. Yes.
Speaking of which, hail to our Spanish brothers for keeping the Tifa dream alive in the Senate. Oh yeah, that was funny. Did you ever hear about that?
What is it? Sorry, I was reading the.
Oh, what Nico's referring to is there was a Spanish meeting with a bunch of official people, and it was all done online. I believe, or that, you know, it was being streamed and you could see everything. And someone, I think, either hacked into it, which I'm pretty sure that I think that's what it was, and like threw up a Tifa porno that just went, that just showed up live. Oh, it was Italy. Oh, well, Italy. I'm going off of what Nico was saying because I thought
Either
he
way,
was,
yeah.
because he mentioned Tifa Dream Alive, and then, you know, I saw Spanish, and it was just hilarious. Well, I guess that's true because, you know, the Spaniards in Italy, but whatever.
I got
What do I
to
know?
figure out when there's a new Final Fantasy game coming out. Hopefully, it's going to be decent. I don't know. I don't even know when the Final Fantasy VII Part 2 remake's coming out. I don't know if I'm really that
I know what you're
excited.
talking about. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I thought it wasn't like remake 2, but it was like something with Sephiroth, right? Like
What, me?
recently.
I don't.
I'm gonna let me see. I'm gonna find this Final Fantasy 7. Is it Crisis Core? Is that what they were calling it? Oh no, that was like that was released in like 2007.
Crisis Core.
Yeah, that was
that might be a PSP game. I don't know. There's so many different Final Fantasy games. There's like an exclusive one that came out for Final Fantasy 12.
Rebirth.
12 had one that's for on the DS, I think. Rebirth. That's Final Fantasy 7 remake, isn't it? Rebirth.
Well, I thought it would be remake or Rebirth Part 2, or I have no idea. There was something that I remember with like Sephiroth like showing up.
Yeah, you do fight Sephiroth in the remake. I think he was like one of the end bosses.
Yeah, he was the end. And not like, you know, from Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Not the end.
No.
He was cool. I need to replay the Metal Gear Solid series again. I need to actually play the original. Did you ever play the original? The Metal, what is it?
Just
Metal Rising?
Not like the OG Nintendo ones, but I did play the PlayStation.
Yeah, the MSX or whatever, because they were originally over there.
Yeah, I played the PlayStation one, but the Super NES, is it Super NES or I think they were on NES, right? Two of them.
NES, yeah. Well, there was one that was like a very bad port, but there was ones for like the MSX, where I think I think it's called Metal Rising or Metal Gear or like Metal, you know, something. I need to play those originally.
It's hard for me to go back to the old NES games. Like,
I don't know, man. With those?
I do. Like back then, you had to just play them because you get like one game here and there, no matter how bad or hard they are. You're like, it's the game I got. So and then you had all the time in the world, just kind of sit there on the weekend or whatever after school, and just grind through them. Now I'm just like, man, fuck this game. Play something else.
Don't have the patience for it. To be fair, a lot of the ones, at least US, there's a lot of ones that are just like you would never want to own it, but back then it was like, this looks cool, and then you rent it, and then your weekend was wasted because you picked a really bad game.
Those are fun times though, like going up to like we have a thing here, it was called First Choice Video. It's pretty much Blockbuster. Go up there, getting your game for the weekend. Everybody's trying to fight for the new games that come out, like Star Fox 64.
I miss.
They had like 3 copies up there, and like you're just like, no, because they had the boxes sitting up, but the game's not behind it.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. It was always there was.
I always tried to rent Earthworm Jim for the longest time as a kid, but it was always out. I was like, damn it.
Thank you, Chaos. Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake was the MSX. That's what I was. They actually put that on if you got Snake Eater, technically Subsistence, which is like Snake Eater plus additional stuff. Those were included on there. I need to play those still. But yeah, oh dude, there was Ghostbusters for Sega Genesis back at this place. It was called, at my hotel, called Bunger Video. And we would always go over there and pray and hope that it was back there. And it never was. And I think we determined that someone just never returned it.
Just took it. They're like,
yeah, luckily I have my copy because I actually went to Funkoland and I bought it. Remember
Nice.
Funkoland?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you never had Funkoland?
I don't know if I'm thinking correctly, it came out before like GameStop. It was kind of like a old school version of GameStop, right?
So yeah, before GameStop just monopolized and shit all over everything.
Right. I
I
think I
at
do
least
remember seeing a
knew-
couple of them in the malls.
Yeah, I remember KB Toys,
Yeah.
Babbage's,
I remember that one.
and this might be a northern thing, but if it's a northern thing, you're from Ohio, so I would assume they would be there. But you had KB Toys, Babbage's, and Funkoland, which was like always near like a Discovery Zone.
Discovery Zone was awesome when you were a kid, man.
DZ Discovery Zone.
I never bought stuff from it, but you always go in there and you'd flip everything, all the bubbles and shit. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. No, my cousins, we would go there and when there was a gathering, we'd just go there, play in the bubble pit.
I wonder if that's how it was. They had like office meetings. They're like, all right, countless people keep coming in here. They flip and touch everything, but they won't buy shit. What do we do, people?
Well, I think it was better than Chuck E. Cheese's, that's for sure. I have yet to ever been to a Chuck E. Cheese's.
Same here. I never did the Chuck E. Cheese thing. Nope.
One that was similar, but it wasn't Chuck E. Cheese's, where I was at, was called Peanut Butter Playhouse. But that might have just been like a one-time thing.
Peanut Butter Playhouse.
Yeah, I remember it. It was called Peanut Butter Playhouse, and I think we only went there one time. But again, it was like your DZ Discovery Zone. You had your laser tag, the ball pits, just inside obstacles that little kids run around. My cousins and I, we would always
I was getting those mixed up. Okay, I remember the Discovery Zone as well. Yeah. I was thinking.
No, Funkoland was with the video games and stuff like that. That's what I remember.
Gotcha.
KB Toys was like a mixture. It was obviously like action figures, and I remember games like on the wall.
Gotcha.
And then Funkoland was specifically games, like your old school Blockbuster, where they would all be on the wall. And
yeah, do you remember a store that always had like the thing I was thinking of? Like it always had like things that your teacher would put on their desk that would move and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what that shit's called. All those sciencey things.
Oh, like Spencer's? Like those?
No, I can't.
Like,
wait, what teachers did you have?
Well, Spencer's, I remember, like you would probably find something like that, along with some adult.
I guess they did have like lava lamps and stuff in Spencer's.
Yeah, are you talking about like
Natural Wonders or something like that?
Oh, yeah, I think I know. Are you talking like the pendulum thing where?
Yeah, they had like pendulum things, and they'd have like a little like thing filled with water, and it had like a some type of mineral or some type of black liquid that would like go down it all the way. Then you'd flip it and it'd go back up. And
yeah. I know.
It was like a store just full of that stuff.
Yeah, just some like weird.
Those are always in the mall, but then like nobody ever bought that shit. They're in the malls forever, but everybody, it's one of those things where kids would go in, they'd play with all that stuff, but you never bought it.
Oh yeah, it's like yeah, when you used to go to Hot Topic, it was like,
oh man, I was like,
get all the edgy stuff.
Yeah, I was like, in high school, I had those big old Jinko jeans. The teachers would
I remember.
Go to the office. They'd staple your pants up.
Oh gosh, yeah. My friends and I back in high school, we would rock the belt buckle, like the cool replaceable belt buckles that are whatever you want. Like there was one where I got a belt, and I don't know, did I ever wear that at school? I felt like I did, but it was legit. Like I got a grenade belt buckle, and I got a belt that was like bullet casings, like all the way around. And I swear, I think I wore that at school one time. Now I don't think you could get away with that nowadays, but
anything else, as long as it's not gun related, you're good.
Yeah.
That's how it
goes now. Smash says, I had the Discovery Zone. Hot Topic made me nervous to walk into. I mean, I wasn't super nervous. It was just you would find your typical, if you saw them, the goth kids or the people that want to be edgy and all that stuff. I never felt uncomfortable. Hey, speaking of making things uncomfortable, look who showed up. It's Joe.
Hey. I'm here to get you out of your safe space once and for all.
Okay. Well, when you're named after a wonderful serial murderer, you know there's no longer any safe spaces.
Hey, now, are you saying I'm named after a serial murderer?
Yeah, I told
No,
you.
no, no, no. Look, I am named after a guy that owned a zoo somewhere, like in the 30s. Okay.
Oh,
A zoo.
Yeah, actually, I googled John Joseph Ball once, and all I got was like
oh.
the most obscure things that were just like not that hip or cool whatsoever.
I
It was
got.
like there was a reverend named this in 1812. I'm like, I guess that's all right, but
I mean, I got this though. This is what I found when I type in Joe Ball. Joe
no,
Ball.
that's some other Joe Ball. You've got to believe me.
He
I
was an American murderer
swear.
and suspected serial killer, but with
No,
baller
no.
names like Alligator Man, the Butcher from Elmendorf, and Bluebeard of South Texas.
He was a folk hero. Let's not warp this. He was a folk hero to all of Texas. The people there worshipped and adored him. And he was just kind of a little murdery on the side. Why don't
How could you not trust someone with a face like that? That's
I mean,
what I asked.
I'm probably legitimately related to him. I've yet to
Does he got a
meet
flask in
person
his
with the
hand?
last name.
Dude, yeah.
It looks like he wrestles the alligators
And he
while
has like a
drinking.
satchel and looks like he's wearing a skirt or very short shorts.
Yeah,
Dude, what a man.
It kind of looks like the
renown.
midget from Willy Wonka in the face.
Well, yes, but Joe, thanks for stopping by, dude.
Oh, no problem at all. How are you guys doing tonight so far? Anything good go down I missed?
Well, I pointed out we got into censorship, and I pointed out on how Square Enix, I guess, has a manga up app where the AI does an absolute terrible job censoring. Like it'll censor stuff, but it'd be so bad that it would like cover up people's like legs because they thought.
Yeah, I saw that too. It was weird. It was covering up the most like kneecaps, eyeballs. I'm like, I don't think that's the issue in the panel. I think it's the giant exposed titties. Maybe that's just me, AI. Maybe they didn't program you very well.
Well, I'm one.
It's kind of funny to think they're like, okay, woo, they made this safe for kids. Here you go, and like the most obscure like anime manga. It's just the wangs hanging out everywhere and titties flapping around, but the eyeballs covered. The kids going to school like, well, mom said this is safe.
Honey, I think Penis Island might have been a bad idea for a comic for the kids. Maybe we should check these things out ourselves first instead of relying on Square Enix manga censorship to save our baby's eyeballs.
The island of misfit genitals.
Yeah.
I'm reading that serial killer Joe Ball. He started his career as a bootlegger and providing illegal liquor to those who could pay for it, dude.
He was just trying to do his community and his people a service.
Yeah,
because
He
the
was just
government was
thinning out
probably
the herd.
prohibition crazy at the time. Yeah, he's
maybe the
like-
people he murdered, they just owed him money. He's like,
We should thank him.
Yeah, pay off your booze bills and
Yeah,
you won't get
booze debt.
murdered. Capiche?
feed you to the
Oh, here you
gators.
go. He built a pond that contained 6 alligators because he misunderstood the term corpus delicti.
I thought you said Gator Farm.
My goodness. Illegal slave trader, kidnapper, illegal slave breeder in Gallatin County, Illinois. My gosh. And then he served on the front lines in Europe during World War I. What a man.
Yeah, definitely one of my relatives. All of that stuff pretty much checks out. I'm not going to lie. That's a ball side of the family traits beginning to end.
Well, I mean,
They're all
I
military.
will not.
They're
I will
all a
not-
little shady. They all probably murdered somebody except for me because I'm the good one. But I know my dad did in wartime, so I can't speak for him. I know for a fact he killed people in Vietnam. But I'm clean. I've yet to take a human life, so I'll use that as a badge of pride that I'm excluded from that right now and don't have the mental problems that the rest of them had from their lifestyles and war.
Actually, that's why he was late. He's actually burying bodies.
They never look under the fence lines. They never look under the fence lines.
Yep, I'll be on in just a minute, guys.
Hold on, folks. Let me get some more stuff in here. But yeah, well, I obviously had you guys individually on separate shows, and we got to talk about, just what you guys enjoyed in the past and whatnot. So maybe just a quick little rundown of kind of like how you guys met one another and how you determined that, hey, I want to, let's start up a King Toad Incorporated and stuff. And of course, I want to know the history of the name. I want to know where that came from.
Well, who do you want to go first?
You go ahead.
You guys
Okay.
can duke it out.
Essentially, how we met was I was a new kid in high school because I moved around a bunch growing up. And that was kind of like moving back home to Ohio where I belonged. And me and Shane were in the same art class together. And at first, I was just kind of sitting off to myself because when you're a new kid, you just kind of find a spot and see what happens. And after maybe like a week, I had migrated over to the table Shane and his buddies sat at. And from that point on, we became friends. And I'd say within months of that, we were already like trying to plot and come up with ideas and comic book things and, dreams of grandeur. And we were off to the races. So pretty much since we were like 16, probably. We were buddies.
Because like one of my first projects, I was working at my first job at KFC, and I was writing a book, and you were doing the artwork. You were doing because I wanted pieces inside the art or inside the book. I can't remember. I think I was like 17 or so when I started that. That was like the first time we actually did something that collaborated. And then from there, that's when we started saying, well, why don't we start applying to some Marvel and DC? And we'd sit there and go through their whatever they had us do. I think it's like 6 or 7 pages they wanted scripted.
Yeah, like their submission requirement.
So you could actually they had an area where you could submit ideas and stuff, like in the comics or something.
You could submit yourself as talent.
Oh,
you
okay.
You use their characters and their stuff to display what you were capable of. They didn't take any ideas from it. Like you had to sign off on paperwork and all kinds of stuff for this, so that you couldn't come back and sue them for using a submission idea.
Oh,
but
I guess I meant where did you guys find the info to submit stuff?
Back then, you could find it in a handful of places, whether it was like Wizard Magazine would run little specials where they would have that information. There were other trade magazines for the industry where you could. The internet helped a lot of that once that got more prevalent. Because then eventually, we were still submitting like paper and giant envelopes through.
Yeah, you're talking about like a 6-month process.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because by the time you got done sending out the script and the pages, you'd wait 6 months to get a reply in the mail. I mean, physical mail being like, we're sorry, we're not taking applications at this moment.
You just went ahead and started the next set while you were waiting to hear back. So it would get cool set started. It was fun, but I mean, rejection letters are terrible.
Do you remember when you did the pages for the Darkness? We did a Patriot thing with Darkness. Those pages were pretty sick back in the day.
They were cool. Yeah, we were real big on the Patriot movie at the time because it was had just hit on DVD. So I was watching it constantly, and I was like, look, there's a character they have at Top Cow that's like his power's been around since the beginning of time. It just transfers through family. So we can literally place a family member in any place on Earth, any period of time. Let's do Revolutionary War. Yep. So you got Revolutionary War, but with monsters and critters and all kinds of things involved, and I was proud of it. I mean, admittedly, at the time, I was so young that giving some amount of realism, even though you have to suspend disbelief for a lot of things with comic books, I didn't keep all that in mind. So I would be if I was drawing a group of soldiers, I would think to myself, we need some body variety, kind of like when you see a team comic. So I would have there's always one big guy, but my big guy would be an excessively big soldier that didn't even make sense. Why is there a Colossus-sized friggin' Continental Soldier that's just towering above everyone else. But it made for cool visuals. It was fun. I never had them I had them march up in straight lines at first, but I quickly deviated to like action scenes where it was just like cool poses and guys in groups fighting. Lots of American flag raving hoorah type stuff.
That's kind of how like my friend Eric and I met too. We met because he was homeschooled for a little bit, and I didn't meet him till junior year of high school, and we connected through art as well, sort of thing. We had a project to where the teacher said, "I think you'd like working with this guy," so you would pick a song to listen to, and then you would draw kind of inspiration from that song, which you didn't have. If there was lyrics, you didn't have to follow the lyrics or what have you, but you each would draw half of the sheet and then try to merge it together, sort of thing. So that's kind of like, that's cool that entertainment.
I think
stuff
me and Joe's
people
always just
together.
kind of chased the dream since what? Well, before we met, but when we combined, age 15 or so, we're kind of like, you remember the cartoon Ed, Ed and Eddie? We're kind of always that, like, it's like, hey, what are we going to do this week? So like, we would.
Who are we going to scheme to get Jawbreakers out of?
Yeah, the scheme, no. But so we did that for a while. But like I say, it's a 6-month process. There's only a handful of companies to apply to at the time. How many times can you submit to DC, Marvel, Image, and who's
maybe Dark Horse, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was another one. Then you'd wait, So we did that for a little bit. Got burned out on that. At some point, we decided, well, let's raise a white flag for now on that, and we said, well, if we can't make comics, I guess we'll sell them. So we did Forever Fanboys was our first shop. It did well, but it's still like, I don't know, it's different atmosphere. Like it's fun, but it's not fun.
Yeah,
we got burned out on that after like I mean it was doing okay, but our hearts really weren't quite into that as much as it was making the stuff. I mean, we tried a shop the second time, and it was fine. It maintained, and then but honestly, the ironic part of it was we sold, like I say, more Magic the Gathering and stuff like that versus the comics. Once you brought comics in, that's when the sales went down.
Yeah, but, comics are like almost unsellable in the modern age, at least in where we're at.
Well, it's just so expensive to get them for what they cost to make, and then by the time you sell them, there's not much of a profit margin for the guy selling them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can,
especially like small companies. Like, yeah, if you're in like a big Target store or something where they can just carry some of them, they don't give a shit. It's nothing to them. But we're always like, you have to have this many of this, or I don't know. It was a headache.
I got into Magic the Gathering, and yeah, that eats one. It definitely sells really well because that
it does. Yeah,
ate my paycheck like all the time, sort of thing. And now I just play Magic the Gathering Arena, and I don't have to pay for anything. So got my way out of that one. But yeah, for sure, I'm sure like trading cards and stuff sold well too. So what age were you guys at when you opened up your first store?
Oh, we were probably already like cutting close to our 30s, if not already touching 30 range. Okay. That was around like 2010 to 11, like late 2010, early 2011 was the first run. And so we did comics in some form or fashion from like literally from like the year 2001, 2000 all the way to that point almost. So we spent a good amount of time. We did little projects on the side on our own too and tried stuff.
Yeah.
So we weren't like jealousy or anything weird like that. If the other guy just wanted to do something, just go do it. Who cares if it? We always agreed with each other that if we had success together or success individually, we would make sure the other guy came along no matter what, because he's been there for every hard time, as have I. We've been there for the things that aren't fun and suck, and the things that are really fun and make you happy and enthusiastic. So
I'm the same way with
definitely my hetero life mate. for sure. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Then we went from the shops. I was doing like chapter books on the side, and then Joe started to get to the Comics Gate and all that, and then he's the one that brought me into that movement of like, hey, there's like this indie thing going on. I had no idea anything about it. I was just like, he's like, you should try to get back into that, and I was like, all right. So the year before, I started doing some stuff, and then that's when we started doing the King Toad thing. There's a group of us we're going to start like a whole company. There's about 6 of us or so. That didn't really go. It was more of a meeting conversation, and it kind of dwindled down to 3 of us. The 3 of us created King Toad. The name just came from literally us sitting around writing stuff on paper, and eventually I came up with the King Toad. And I was actually thinking, it was funny because in my mind I was thinking kind of like a toadstool, like King Toad, but the other guy drew it as a toad. I'm like, hey, it works.
All the artists misunderstood because me and Sweens, the other guy we were working with at the time, we both thought a king, a toad that was a king. So that was all the designs we did and sent to Shane, and Shane's like, I meant more like, like King Toadstool, like a cute froggy or a cute kind of mushroomy thing. And I was down with that too, but we already kind of liked what we had, so we just ran with it.
Yeah.
Don't you love it when tons of different artists just like, I got ideas, and then it's like a web of different ideas. So I was thinking this. I thought of this, but that's where you find stuff that like you might have never even thought of before, sort of thing. Yeah. That's where that magic can really happen.
Yeah. So yeah, we spent that first year pretty much getting everything together because to create the corporation, we had to send all the paperwork in, and then as soon as we started doing all that stuff, that's when COVID hit. So that made it even harder to get everything moving because we mailed out all the paperwork and stuff to get signed. I mean, some of it was digital, so that wasn't too bad. But a lot of offices still didn't have people there to do all that stuff.
We got locked up right after this got established.
Yeah, pretty much. As soon as we're like, yeah, okay.
Huh. Almost like it was planned, but what do I know?
Yeah. But yeah, we managed to get all the paperwork and stuff done. We went into the first project, Mothman. I went ahead and got that rolling. Joe at the time was finishing pages for Malin, I think. I think you were working on Malin's book.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Ooh, we got Angron the Red Angel. Hey, dude. So it's just saying, hey, hanging out with my boys. Hope you all have a good one.
Yeah. Right on, you too, man.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for stopping by. And just to reiterate, we are live on YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble. So check me out over there, especially on Rumble, because I'm cheap. And if I can get 100 followers over there, I don't have to pay to stream, which annoys me.
Save this man money.
Which is annoying, but it is what it is. We're trying to branch out here as well. And of course, Shane and Joe's social medias are listed in the description below. And Joe is the creator of Death. Did you break 67K already?
Just a little bit ago, actually. I just saw the notification like literally right before I was about to click on this link. So yeah, we just went over
nice.
Right before I got it. Yeah, yes. Thank you. I'm pumped on that. I'm gonna keep fighting and pushing forward because I want to get this thing to 100K before like ship out time. Because like even in December when I'm trying to have this thing like hitting mailboxes, I think there's gonna be a lot of after sales once it starts showing up to other people because that's generally how things kind of go these days. So I may just leave it open, but not really bring it up all that often because once we launch Swarm, like that's going to be like the main priority book for a while. Yeah. So I may leave it open just for Nancy come latelys, or I'll overprint and just have books available on our Etsy site or something like that, someplace where it's still accessible because I'm not hooked on the idea of well, you had your chance and you blew it. It's like, no, there's people that want the book. I want to make sure I have some copies available.
I never
keep
understand that concept either, especially it's in the indie realm of like you're trying to get your feet, on the ground and going, and when a campaign ends, people's like, oh, I know everybody's trying to get it's like an attempt for a lot of people to get those last minute sales. But I'm like, you spent all this time, a year, creating this thing. You go on social media networks, you treat this thing as like your baby, and then after a year, you're like, next we have. I'm like, what? Like, make it available. Like, no company does that. No company takes a brand of something and then just toss it off the side if it did well for you. And then I don't know. It's so weird.
In comics, the goal should be to be able to repackage the same thing over and over and over and over, and that's how you really make your money off of it. Because there's so much labor and print, and just there's so much money involved for the first run of anything that if you can,
absolutely.
And I get they're trying to keep value with those first print runs. You're trying to say, hey, this is the first print run. It was small. It's special. Because even on the huge standards, like, let's say like Malin or Ethan Van Sciver or guys like that, Eric July, people that are selling millions of dollars worth of comics, they're still relatively small print runs. I mean, you're talking under 12,000, under 10,000 copies usually. So it's one of those things where I get you are going to create some rarity for that particular print run. But for me, I'm like, that's fine. Yeah, those people will feel like they got that first print run. But to me personally, if I can overprint and have extra copies of the first run, I will. I'm not going to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to limit that first run if I have extras there, or if I have dinged or damaged, I'll sell them as inexpensive dinged or damaged. I'm not going to be. Or those will be the ones I give away to YouTubers like yourself so that you can have an extra copy or one to review and read. A lot of people have already backed it, but I have no problem giving them a little something extra so that they don't get their, so they got a review copy. You guys like us that have been kind and helped us out and gave us airtime, and, it's the least we can do in some cases to kind of repay the favor.
Yeah, I'm trying to look into as well, because with game streaming, I like the fact that a lot of the games I play are my first time experiences, and that's something very unique to share with people when you were aware of it, but you didn't grow up with it. And so like a lot of classic, video games would be like first time experience. And I've been wanting to also branch out with that too, like sharing experiences with like reading, comics, or like not so much like reaction videos, but I've asked people about like, have you read this manga? And it's like, no, I wonder what people would think if I like, shared that experience of that first time expression too. So kind of like with our Ava, our Neon Genesis Evangelion idea, which I think I'll be trying to contact both of you, because I talked with my friends and they're down with it too. So I'll try to figure out what we can do with that one, because I think that might be an Odyssey exclusive or Rumble exclusive, because I think we could actually watch. There's ways we can do it. The point being is that we could actually have video clips and comment on it without getting copyright strike, even though it's clear fair use. And then just like upload little snippets up on YouTube and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's all connected. And folks, with Death, Joe has provided different tier levels. So if you like a manga type feeling, there's a manga version, there's a colored version, there's your standard comic version, I believe, and then there's a graph. Like, there's a hardcover, Joe?
The color and the line art are both hardcover 7x10, so they're going to be pretty like typical American Western size graphic novels. The manga version is a 5x7.5, so it's a typical like manga you would get at Barnes and Noble size. Cool. It'll fit right on your shelf with all your others in terms of scale and size. It won't read backwards like a normal manga does, but that's because I could not take
you have to like rework the panels.
The way you have to rework it sometimes involves complete redraws or changes like that you wouldn't expect. You can't just flip everything. You can do it to a lot of stuff, but you can't do it to just everything because it screws up page direction and iFlow and all these little things. So I couldn't take the time to do that. But at some point, I probably will do like a mini thing or something extra where I do like a Toriyama styled, like intentionally, like I'm just using his style to a T. And I'll do like a Death like mini comic that'll all be in a proper manga order and just be fun. Something where I can squeeze in a little side story, maybe on a future campaign or something. Because there's been demand for it, and I have to meet that demand at some point. It's like hard for me to make promises right now when I'm already knee deep in so much work. It's like, we'll see once I get through some things. I can't promise what the future holds, but I do want to give you guys that. I know the Toriyama image was one of the most popular ones. And it's funny because that was something I just did kind of on a whim. Like that I just thought, I'll just do this for fun. And then I'm like, it figures people love the manga image, that one picture, more than any of all this ridiculous high detail stuff I do. They're like, give me that fun cartoon. I'm like, lesson learned. Lesson learned.
Can never predict, right?
Yeah. Well, and I get why they appreciate it. I love it too. Like I get it, what the appeal is. It's just like when you put your heart and soul into a bunch of little hatchy lines, then you're like, really? People just kind of want something fun. Sometimes they don't always want like dark and gloomy. Sometimes they want bright and happy, but with a super mega fight that lasts for 38 volumes.
So I guess since you guys talked about it a little bit, Comicsgate, I know a little bit about it, but I never really fully dived into it and whatnot. And it sounded like you, Joe, kind of have like a little bit of an experience of like seeing that kind of coming like into what's happening and whatnot. So can you like explain a little bit like just what the goal of Comicsgate was or still is, I guess you could say?
Well, I was kind of lucky where like I started to see the brewing of what was about to become Comicsgate, but I didn't know it yet. I was just seeing a small groundswell of people that were kind of like saying things that I had said to Shane at the shop just in private as business owners. Like, man, how are we supposed to move these books? Look at how these guys talk to customers online. Because like me and Shane had like Facebook, but I don't think we had like deep dive Twitter or things like that yet at that point. So by like 2016, on the last year of our second shop, we were just in awe of the reactions that comic guys would get, because we'd seen that on a light scale on our first store. Nothing real big, but kind of, just like bad excuses from creators why their work wasn't getting done. When we would have the same comic book being ordered every single month by the same guys that were coming at us being like, where's our books? And we're like, they ain't finished them. I don't know what to tell you. But anyways, you would have these issues where creators would get kind of like smart mouth with fans when it wasn't necessary. And I was just like, this is not helping. Like, it's hard enough to move these books, and I have to jump on Twitter to try to find ways to use these other things to promote our store. And I'm like, we sell comics. I'll follow all the comic people so I know what's going on. And I'm like, oh my God, they're all terrible pieces of garbage. What is wrong with these mentally ill weirdos?
Oh my God.
So, and I'm generalizing. There's obviously a lot of good guys, but in the comic industry. But anywho, long story short, we had closed our shop, and I was a little in between and weird on what to do with myself. I'd sank 18 years into comics in terms of drawing shops, me and him going to conventions and going broke to travel across this country to all these massive shows to show our work to people. And it was like, do I stop wasting life on this and move on to something that I know for fact will make me money? Because there's plenty of jobs around here I can make real money at without having to be like a college graduate. Or do I stick to this because I've already sank all this time into it? I've already amassed a ton of knowledge and experience. Maybe now I can apply it better. Like you the pros and cons that a person weighs when they realize like they've sank their whole life into something that's just literally punched them in the face constantly, like fruitless endeavor after fruitless endeavor. But anyways, Richard C. Meyer, aka your boy Zach, started to make videos about this stuff. And when I saw the support he got, I saw his channel just skyrocket, and I saw this groundswell of all these fans out there going, yes, the product's terrible, the creators are rude, things are constantly like all these problems. And then this thing called Comicsgate popped up, which was a slur initially that we just kind of adopted and immediately because we thought it was funny, and it just became the thing. And gradually over time, it was really a customer movement. And after about a year of the customers screaming, after this kind of had already been going on from shops and distributors prior to the fans finally catching wind, the fans screamed loud enough that the company said, we don't care how much you scream. We're going to do whatever agenda-driven garbage, low tier, bad art, just everything mid or low garbage. We're giving it to you no matter what. Take it or leave it. And then from that point, it turned into, well, they've told us pretty plain and blunt, we hate you. We think you're terrible people. Don't buy our stuff. And we said, we're going to make our own stuff then. 'Cause what other option is there? We're all creators anyways. And then slowly, you know, some pros came into it. And over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, it's kind of where it's at now, where it's a little more, it's just kind of like an indie standard. You know, anyone's welcome to come over. Just try not to attack fans like to a manner where it's unreasonable. There's going to always be a few nasty people you have to deal with, but unless it's really necessary, just and deliver your work. And that's, you know, there's Comicsgate's had its own issues, but that's because you're lumping in like, you know, about 10,000 people and acting
it's
as
pretty
if
big
they're all one
network.
person. Yeah,
it's small but big at the same time, and that's the thing about comics. I see it kind of like it's kind of like the punk rock of comics. You know, like when you had the punk rock of the 80s, it was just such a experimental time. But again, those were bands and stuff that couldn't get signed on a major label. Nobody's going to fucking take those bands. They're like, and they're like, well, fuck it. We'll just go on the road and we'll do our own shit. Next thing you know, a movement was made. A lot of people fucking hated it, but it has a giant following, you know, because it's a movement in a sense. You got a lot of talent or a lot of passion, and everybody's telling these people, you can't do it. No. You're not a label. You can't do it. I feel like Comicsgate is the same thing with comics. Yeah, you can pinpoint certain creators and be like, this stands for Comicsgate or this stands for Comicsgate. But you know, when in an indie movement like this, you got so many different personalities, different viewpoints. So you are going to get some mixed stuff. You have people that will like point fingers at like other creators, or you have fights, and everybody's like, Comicsgate's crazy. See, but like, at the same time, it's just a movement of indie creators. It's a drawing point. I mean, a lot of channels have come from it. You know, a lot of YouTube channels, and I say a lot of good, some bad comics. I mean, not everything's going to be everybody's cup of tea as well. You know, there's late projects. It still has its flaws, but again, it's a movement. It's not a lot of people. I'll see like comments where everybody acts like there's bosses or you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know.
There's like a main thing, like this is where it all came from, sort of thing.
It's just a general term for people that agree on a bunch of general comic book principles, and even if some of our own can't live up to that all the time,
yeah,
we're
like
still
with the punk rock thing. It's kind of like you know, you can't just look at the Ramones and then somebody else like the Distillers or something and hold them at the same.
I get you.
You know,
so you said that Comicsgate was like based on like a slur. Like, is that like what the other people are like, well, you're just trying to create this and it's not working, sort of thing, and then immediately was like, well, since you brought it up, we'll just go ahead and we'll just ride this wave and just mock them with it, sort of thing?
Well, it was more like just because Gamergate had just kind of ended, that it was a joke on like that. Like, oh, what is this groundswell of people? Is this Comicsgate? You know, it wasn't even like that snarky. It was just kind of like it naturally happened. You understood that organic jokes like that are going to happen, and then a bunch of people will repeat it after they've seen it. So it was kind of like that. Like, it went from being like a slight joke to now a snarky thing to act like you're some kind of piece of shit to Just a general term for anybody that would associate with us. Like, it didn't,
Mm.
like, I know guys still to this day that are excellent artists. They agree with us on a lot of the principles of things, but like they just want to not be mixed up in all the nonsense that comes with internet stuff. Like they want to keep their internet presence limited. And I get it because I've got wives and kids and all those things. You don't want, well, a wife. No, not wives. I'm not a Mormon. Sorry, Mormons. It's not my thing. But,
Now Maria's gonna be calling me like, "Oh, we gotta bury a body, Shane."
No, she loves me, but she loves when I draw at a desk all night, and I'm like, "Do not bother me." But for weeks on end, but yeah, it just became one of those things where it went from a customer movement to a / customer artist movement to a completely like just anyone that'll speak to us now are considered it. So like, I mean, even Sean Gordon Murphy, one of the more popular pros of the modern age, he just did a cover for like Doug TenNapel, and the lefties had an absolute meltdown over it, and he had to kind of recant himself from it, and it was just sad. And it was like, if he would have done a cover for this guy a year earlier, none of you would have cared.
Yeah.
It's just because the Earthworm Jim creator showed up on Van Sciver's show a few times, and he just happens to be one of those snarky Christians where he's going to snark you with his Christianness. And if you're not, if you're like, oh, well, are you going to judge me for X, Y, and Z? Doug TenNapel will be like, yes, I sure will judge you on that, and I will hate you and damn you to hell for those. Like he's not a nice guy Christian. He's kind of an asshole. So that was the thing too, was just the minute the public got exposed to him, you knew the lefties were going to lose their mind. So, and that's old. That's from like 5 or 6 years ago. Like those early days, like they really came at you. Now I think things have eased up and they're just used to us. And it's like, we mind our business and you mind yours. Like it's kind of hard to get mixed up into drama unless you really go after it these days. Like most of us are like, I ain't getting mixed up in a bunch of horse shit. I'm just trying to draw
to make the
stupid
comments.
pictures over here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I guess I was thinking more of like, when they, it's like when they think of something and then they like respond back and they're like, well, it meant this, so we're taking back that word. And it's like, you guys are doing a terrible job at doing it, because sort of like situation. And that's kind of where I was getting at that.
Yeah, okay. I just basically like, we started to say it as a joke. I'll put it to you this way. You know how like SJWs thought of the term SJW and we're so proud of it, and the minute we started just calling them that because they called themselves that,
that's
pissed them off. Yeah, this is like the opposite, where they called us like when they called us it back, we just chuckled and said, okay. Like it just didn't bother anyone.
Yeah.
So then it just naturally stuck because you can't get mad at people that you can't frustrate with a terminology. Like I'm a firm believer, don't use the enemy's terminology in public. And that's a big problem a lot of people make a mistake of, in my opinion. So it's just a side note, nothing serious, but like you'll never catch me being like, if a lefty hates a creator that works with Comicsgate because he's black essentially, and they can't wrap their head around a black guy just being normal with other human beings, I won't say to them, you hate him because he's black. Like that's just your typical liberal reaction to everything too. It's like, no, he just doesn't like who this guy associates with. It just bothers them. So like, I try to avoid the language, but I think in the term Comicsgate, like it just kind of organically hit on its own. Like I don't argue when things just kind of happen without it being like a weird pressure situation from a large group,
I get you. Yeah. I just laugh.
We do too. We laugh
just
at most
the guy
of it.
sitting on the sideline laughing, and then it's like they get mad, or like you'll have the star quarterback like turning to you and like, what are you saying? And it's just like, dude, why are you getting like, I'm just some guy in the sidelines laughing at you, like but you're taking the time to like, it's crazy. These people are just weirdos.
Yes, yeah. It was worse in the early days. Like the first like 3 years of it, it was like you definitely were just like waiting for someone to have a problem with you in public, and then it kind of eased off after a little bit. It's like I said, we mostly mind our business over here. Other people mostly mind theirs. It's You'll get the occasional like problem where someone's trying to, like in Nick Rekieta's position, like he's so big that that like people are coming at him all the time. We know that that could happen to us on like a small scale, but for like most of us, it's not really an issue. Ethan maybe, because Ethan's a big name too, but like I don't ever want to compare anything me and Shane may have dealt with what like people on their scale have, because it's different worlds of like your real life getting screwed around with. So we're blessed. I think most people in CG are blessed that are they've been working and creating long enough to where there's a trust factor, because for we could have 10 creators like get a book together, make funding, get that book out, get it in people's hands, and repeat that process. And sometimes the bad apples get pointed out so much more. Like, there's one guy that didn't deliver and just disappeared with the money from the early days. And CG still has to hear about that guy 5 years later, as if he's an example of the norm, when it's like, no, he's the exception. Most people are actually doing their job. Like, yeah, there's some dudes that are really late. I can't do nothing about that. It's not my problem.
That was my thing I was getting at about kind of the punk rock kind of thing. It's an indie movement, and when people act like it's a corporation, like there's not bosses. We can't
We're
go
all
after,
our own
if
boss.
somebody comes around saying,
they're
hey,
our
I'm
boss.
CG, here's a book, and they take your money, and then they're like, and
It's
then
like
you come
Gunstar
at
Heroes,
me
where there's
like,
just
I
a
didn't
bunch of
do it.
mini bosses.
Yeah, I can't go to the guy's house and like bang on the door and be like, where's that book at that they're saying you need to have?
My favorite is in the end, regardless of like how it turned out, is that they both, like in the end, like the lefties still look bad in the end, regardless of how it. That's my favorite thing. It's just like, well, we're gonna label you this. What do you think of that? It's like, okay, yeah, we'll embrace it. No, that's not what I want. Or you make a thing and then or you make it up, and they're like, oh, look at you and stuff, and then we laugh at them again because it's like, yeah, because it's getting a ruse out of you, sort of thing. They just lose in the end, and it makes me giggle. Oh my goodness, this is insane.
I hope these few generations of them that have been absolutely insufferable and intolerable, I hope that at least like half, because I think the baby boomers were kind of like this. They went through the summer of love and all the stupidity of the late 60s, but about half of them went back home eventually and kind of fell into place like normal adults and human beings, and moved on with life like a normal person would. So my forgiving spirit and my optimism, even though I know it's not likely, hopes that these last few generations, even though they're going to be spited because they're young kids that are going to realize when they get older the terrible ways they were used by their side of society or their parents or their whoever that's around them, their teachers or their professors. Yeah. They're going to be spiteful about that, but I hope at least half of them kind of just grow up. You know what I mean? Like literally, like get older, get some life experience. And we kind of all get that luxury that we all got to be able to say, well, I was young. Like I literally didn't know any better. It's not till you're older that you can look backwards and scratch your head and realize, well, I only knew what I knew at that moment in time.
It's also, to me, it's one of those things, not to cut you off, sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
It's kind of like, at work, we always talk about whatever. And we talk about like the statues. Remember, like nobody cared about the statues everywhere, right? Nobody knows what half the statues stand for. But once the social media tells you you're not supposed to like these statues anymore, now everybody's like looking up at these statues that they've passed by a bazillion times at libraries, outside of colleges, not giving two shits about. But once social media tells you, now you have to care about it, and we need you to hate these. All of a sudden, these people who had no hate towards it now rally. They're like, now we have a purpose. Now let's take down these statues. We don't care. We're not going to do any research. We're just going with the mass majority of people telling us to hate this. So we start tearing down these statues, right? Now nobody even cares. Once again,
statue makes me angry. Statue makes me mad.
Well, to me, I feel like that's kind of like Comicsgate. I feel like not a lot of people will do research about it. They just go by social media saying, well, Comicsgate's this and Comicsgate's that. They don't actually look into the creators, the variety of characters between different races of people that's actually in Comicsgate, from the creators to the writers to the artists and genders. They just they rally to like a point of view without doing any research and just like, I hate this. And I think that, like what you're saying with the generation now, it's just so easy for whatever the flavor of the month is to get mad about. And nothing you cared about 2 days ago, if all of a sudden they're like, you know what, we hate Christmas trees, this is why. And then everybody start being like, you're right, I do hate Christmas trees. And then everybody's like, no more Christmas trees in houses this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is an example. Like that,
Yeah.
people will just start rallying it, even though they did 2 shits about it 2 days ago. They'll just it's almost like there's like this want or this need of a purpose of these gatherings of I don't know, like I don't know if it's a rage of like just needing to be heard about something, so they feel like that's important to rally behind something, even if it's something, like I say, they don't really care about. It's just an anger within that they all just kind of.
Well, that's the
They all hate their parents.
the scary
so
part.
they rage on normal people because they're stuck living with their parents, whether they like it or not. So they're like, God, I hate my mom and dad. I got to make normal people's lives miserable.
Like with us, okay, like, you know, that way the coin doesn't get too flipped on us. Like when we're talking about the anime earlier, we're like, now that's something different because we like it and now it's being censored. So that's a different thing. Now that's something you could be like, wait a minute, that's not how this is supposed to be. You're taking something we like because that's something we're into. And that's the thing. Like when like franchises, like, you know, maybe like a certain franchise you like isn't, it starts going away from what it was. That's different to me, you know. Like I said, when these people just come out of nowhere, just hate something.
They ruin hobbies. They ruin all kinds of things because they don't build things. They just ruin stuff that already exists. They're not creators.
I think that's kind of where the scariness of everything, because I see, like, because what you pointed out, Shane, too, is like it's not just one side, it's like 2 sides of the most extreme polar opposite. And for me, I think it's, my faith aside and everything, it's leading to a point where they just will go, tell us what to do, and we will respond to it. And that's what's getting really scary about it. So I think we're in that, you know, there's that point that what you said that I agree with, is like people need to find something to get angry over.
COVID was a good one. COVID is a good example of that. You know,
what's up?
I said COVID is a pretty good example of that. Look how divided everybody got about COVID. You had people who, like, family relatives, like, if you know, whichever side you sit on, either you get the shot or you don't kind of scenario. Like, it separated families of like,
it's, you know, crazy. Like, and because
it takes one thing, and then people lose their fucking minds, man. It's nuts. It's unbelievable. It's almost like this big social experiment that governments can just pull up. Like, what can we get away? How crazy can we make people?
Yeah,
it's not hard. You watch movies and you think these scenarios can't happen, and you see how fucking easy it can happen. When you think like the Hitler times and stuff like that, like how could people have that mindset? But when you see it in small examples, like a COVID scenario or something like that, how people can just flip on each other and rioting and stuff like that on just different, you know, topics. It's apparently it's not that hard for the human race to fucking flip a switch and go crazy and just pick sides. There's always a side. That's the thing. There's no grounds. It's like within weeks, and I say everything moves so fast anymore, from social media to everything. You know, I think kids are even grown up where everything's like constantly moving.
Yeah, that instant gratification.
Yeah. So nobody has patience to learn anything, to figure out anything. It's an automatic. We need an emotional reaction now. What side are you on? What, you know? It's just it's crazy, man. I don't know if this is the same topic we've been talking about.
No, it's all good. It's all good. That's well, I mean, that's what it is. And I know both of you guys brought it up. It's like especially when the social media came out too. I learned with, you know, the voiceover community and stuff. It's one of those things where it's like you really want to like help the, you know, the kids or whoever. It's like, don't follow your heroes on their social media and stuff. because you know, the worst is the people who go, yeah, I actually do agree with you behind the scenes, but then on social media are the complete opposite because they're fake. And it's like,
Right. They got
you
put
know,
on
the
the
sort of
face.
thing. But it's like, don't follow your heroes. I mean, that was one of the things I was disappointed in, is I was following a lot of voice actors, you know, trying to learn from them and stuff like that. And then they just started spewing their mouths to their customers and to their you know, future fans, which you're now isolating because by like labeling them, you're not a real fan if you voted this way, because that means, and it's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Like, take the again, but to me it's all part of the plan. Take out the individuality so that you're all sheep, and then
Make
a
everybody
certain-
afraid.
a certain demonic person will appear and go, I will lead the world into prosperity.
Yeah.
And then it happens for like a week or so, and then all hell breaks loose.
Well,
That's
I
what I
mean,
think.
yeah, let's look at like a lot of the properties out there right now. Even if some of them I like or hate, like I say, I didn't watch She-Hulk and a couple others, but like
I'm not
as
watching
soon
any.
as soon as like somebody has a disagreement on it, instead of being like, you know what, these people just didn't like it, they have the actors and actresses come out and start pointing fingers like, you didn't like it because you're a racist or you're a feminist. It's like, maybe people just don't like it. Like, not saying the whole fan base didn't like it. Like I like the Obi-Wan series, but since it got like the little girl got like some attack, you know, like people didn't like her as Leia or something. I don't know. I didn't follow up a lot of it, but then Ian McGregor
thought it was
comes out
someone else.
and you know, how dare you attack this little girl? I'm like, well, you know what? Hollywood, you're the one who puts children in movies. That doesn't, you don't get a free pass just because you put a human kid in a movie. And like, we have to like it. We have to like the performance and everything about it, because if we don't, we hate children, and we're bullying a child. No, maybe they just didn't like the story.
Well, that's why Greta Thunberg was marched out. The left's last resort on an issue is the children. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like the righties will march out Nick Sandman and Kyle Rittenhouse like left and right and just fireworks and come give us a speech. It's like, these kids are seriously like 16 and 17 years old. Just leave them alone a little bit. They don't need to be giving anyone life speeches at events and things like this. It's give them a pat on the back. Sure, you can give them a little, you know, good job, kiddo. You stood up for yourself. But no need to make it look like the WEB and fireworks for a kid involved in just an unfortunate situation. But
good.
They the left will do this stuff with like zero regard. They know those kids are going to get terrible things said, even if it's jokes or just snarky internet, you know, edgelord guys. Because we all know that the net gives you just a touch of extra snark, and we're all victim to it at times. We can't even help it. We don't even realize. It's like, I'm a little too snarky, gonna backspace and rewrite something else, because
like
you can't read emotions. You know, people can overanalyze anything these days. So.
Yeah, I said like the Star Wars girl. The girl played Leia. Like, she's what, maybe 12? You know, like what? Like, who's attacking her? Like, how is she getting attacked? Where's her parents? Like, nobody forces like a 12-year-old to get online and be like,
it's a girl reading com. Yeah, they
check
just
out
saw
all these reviews of people hating you. You're not monitoring your kid, especially knowing like if like Ian McGregor really cared, you know, like he tried to bring up the kid that played Anakin as the example. Like, look what happened to him. He didn't want to see that happen to her. I'm like, well, you made the show, you know the pattern, and like I said, don't be blaming fans hating. Like I said, I didn't read all the comments, because you're always going to have people that love it and hate it, the worst and the best kind of people. You know,
well,
that's
it's
Hollywood.
Like these companies
if you don't
are
want your
pretending...
kids and stuff to be exposed to it, you don't put them in Hollywood. But my thing is, don't hide behind it. Like, don't say a franchise, you know, don't say your fans are a certain type of people just because they don't like it. I hate when you get categorized. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like if I didn't like the Obi-Wan thing, but yet you have Ewan McGregor coming on here and being like, well, if you didn't like it, it's because you're one of those people in those comments. Like, no, maybe I just didn't like the show.
That's like, I
hate to think of these Hollywood guys trying to, you know, now like when you make a video saying like, oh, you know what, I didn't like the new Predator movie. well, he's one of those people. He's one of those people, like you can't review anything now. They're trying to make it to where like if you give any type of bad review, you fall into a category of a racist feminist person, and that's not the case.
Funny you brought it up. That actually just happened with the Lord of the Rings. I just saw an article that the original Hobbits made a comment about it.
And see, again, it's just the actors. Like one, they never wrote the books. They're actors.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I hate
I'm
when
like,
the
you
actors
guys are
come
just-
forward. I'm like, they're fucking actors, man. They're not creators. They're the people that's put in there, and they're like, hey, do this, this, and this.
They
You're
play.
not. Yeah, you're.
Yep, play pretend. It's
Yeah.
it's just so funny that now it's like, well, the actors have a say in it. It's like,
And people listen to actors more than they do anything else. That's what's crazy. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
it's
that movie.
perfect, dude. You get the people that are professionally, their profession is to trick you into thinking they're a character.
Yeah.
So of course they'd be the best at this silly goofball stuff.
The funniest thing is with certain voiceover actors, because you'll see them on Twitter complain on how they get so annoyed that they're like, I don't play the character, I'm me, sort of thing. But then, like what you just said, it's like, well, now Hollywood's trying to use the actors to
Mhm.
say, well, because I played the character, I know he would feel this way. Like with Chris Evans. Chris Evans is coming back supposedly to fix Captain America. It's like, oh my god,
So stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not even getting into that. That's just gonna make me like get us booted off YouTube or say something terrible.
nonsense. We're close
like
to the 2-hour mark where we can start dropping F words and all that stuff. There's
Well, like
only
I
a
say,
small
like,
amount of good of actors that won't bend to the knee. Yeah, and they get
Yeah.
says Chaos Smash. Yeah, and then they get blacklisted.
Exactly. Like when
Because
they're on the opposite
agent,
side.
not even
yeah.
your agents want to work with you. It's like,
Yeah.
but that was always one thing that if I ever got a bunch of money, I would just make a whole nother Hollywood. And maybe
Well, it might
be
be-
a
you
dick
never
and
know.
not have
It-
those
it's-
people.
It's moved into, comics have done it. Music has done it for ages. Movies are just the next. I mean, it's everything. Like I said, everything's getting easier and easier to do. You're starting to see more and more indie movies and movements. And hell, half the like awards go to like what, like Sundance and all that shit, where it's all just like indie films. So you never know, man. Like that Hollywood could be a thing in the past.
Well, who watches the Oscars anymore?
Nobody, rich people.
Rich people. And maybe you'll get some juicy stuff like, Smith slapping.
It's just the
Chris
families
Rock.
of the rich people that's watching it. Like,
I think things are so lackluster right now in terms of big entertainment that we're even though people are frustrated and irritated by it, we're in the golden age. Just ride with it. Start creating now, because right now is the time to strike, so that when these companies do start producing good stuff again, because by default at some point they probably will, they'll be pushed into it financially. And a lot of them are all getting bought out and taken over by right-leaning dudes that are just cleaning house, and that's going to change things up. So they're going to get in positions where they're going to have a boss that's going to go, nah, we need to make some money here. This is
well,
we
look at it
can't
this way
keep writing
too.
off everything. Like at some point we have to have a success. So
Like,
there's
like
there's
like
yeah,
Ring of
everyone's
Power,
kind of
like Ring of Power, and I'll use the Obi-Wan franchise again. How much merchandise did you see of that stuff out?
I didn't
None.
see anything.
I never saw
for
Right?
everyone.
Because they know now to get people to watch it. Like I said, they get the other side to rally. Like it's like a hate watch, like, oh, so many people hate this show because of this view. So now everybody's got to watch it. They're using the social media and the networking of that. They don't have to make anything. They don't have to make shirts and toys and cups and mugs and plates and napkins anymore. They just get people to go online and have one actor voice an opinion, and then you got like a whole side of people that will just watch it, even if they're not. Like I say, 1 minute you care about Lord of the Rings, and you got people who never looked twice of it. Now they're watch it because it's a topic. It's a hate
So
topic.
I bought some off-brand Diet Cola, and I'm pretty sure they did not put the syrup in here because this tastes just like carbonated nothing,
Ugh.
and I'm sad about it because I've never had one this bad like before. And
Man, I
Yeah,
bought
like-
the new Voodoo. and it's terrible. The new Voodoo that just came
Ugh.
out, Mountain Dew Voodoo. Last year's
'Cause
was
I'm-
so good.
Yeah, because I'm not one where it's like I don't care if it's an off-brand or not. You know, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pick it up. But I'm sad. I'm sad. 79 cents down the shitter. No, just kidding.
You need to send that company a very nasty email.
I know, right? I
Started off with "Hello, my name is
coming for you."
Karen, and I demand my 79 cents back." Like, make sure it seems really authentic, even if you have to make some shit up.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Joe, people were making fun of me because I was bald. Because to start off with, so I guess when I was setting everything up on YouTube, the stream said it would start at 6:30. On Odyssey, it said it would start at 8. And then Rumble said it would start I think the actual correct time, 7. And so at some point, I open up my browser to start getting ready, and I'm seeing all these comments of Leighton Gay, and I'm like, what? I said, but then I saw the schedule said starts at 6:30, and I'm like, oh no, I'm like, no, this isn't true. And then Chaos says Greg sucks at scheduling. No, I was perfect. It was the technology. It
Yep.
didn't do what I wanted it to do.
Yep.
Then
I
they were
agree.
Then they were saying that my mental sanity is like my hair. I'm losing it. I was very hurt, and I was gonna just start cutting them down.
Nice going, guys. Now you've hurt his feelings.
Last show ever now.
Last show
Yeah.
ever.
He's signing
No.
off.
No, man, dude. Oh, you missed it yesterday. When Rod was on, because I was reading some. Actually, he was saying you were Leighton Solus, you ginger. My gosh,
Oh, good lord.
I didn't see that coming. But dude, Joe, yesterday, we got into a good little, I guess, discussion about how I can't even remember what it was about, but it was pretty much I was reading an article, and I said this is what these people keep doing the same thing. They keep trying to push an ideology, and it doesn't sell, and that's why you see people start indie stuff. Because they're just we're tired of this. We actually have stuff we want to make, and we don't want to be hindered by a producer who will say, yeah, I will buy your stuff, but you got to pretty much portray what I think this movie needs.
Yeah.
And there was a funny discussion on how a certain someone says, well, that's just the way it is. And then I gave example like Rocky, for example. And I was like, well, Stallone didn't he could have sold his script and made millions. And he said, no, I want to direct it and stuff. And pretty much bantered to where it's pretty much the company was like, okay, you can do this. You have X amount of days. And if you do, and the day it comes, if you didn't make the movie, you're gone, you're cut, sort of thing. And I gave that an example, and as well as, the comics people. And he was like, well, I could just give the same example of it failing. Does that make my point any better? And I was like, what are you talking about? You just stated an absolute of saying that's how the industry is, that you have to just suck up to the producer. And I said, no, you don't have to. It was really hilarious. Oh, Chaos Smash explains it a lot better in that simple statement. Rod is like Lofty.
Well, no, because here's the difference: is Lofty does have a very good knowledge, even if people don't know it, of film and high-end film. The dude knows some good stuff, and he's got a mind for it. But he's also just very forgiving of things some of us are not with other things. I'll put it to you this way: when a manga or anime fan watches the Netflix Death Note, they hate it. But when a normie that says, yeah, I've heard of it because my weeb dork friend says it's cool, but they're not going to ever waste their time sitting through a bunch of seasons of a show or a bunch of manga. It's not in their nature. They're just not going to do it. That's a lot of normies. They could watch that movie and be perfectly fine with it, because as just a thing all its own, where you pretend you've never ever heard of Death Note, it's completely tolerable. But it's not if you're watching it from the other perspective, or if you even have too much knowledge in general of the source material. And there's a real frustration these days between like lefties that want an agenda, normies that don't know the difference, and people that know source material. And it's tough because normies are always just going to kind of side on who cares, whatever. But Rod's contrarian. Lofty's not. Rod's just always going to try to say the opposite of something because he doesn't know what else to do. It's just how he works. He's very one track minded. Of, oh, I'm gonna say something that's outside of a pattern. It's like, no, it doesn't change the pattern. That's the problem with everything everywhere your brain could possibly go in life. You always want a minority situation to be the pattern when it's 99% of the time quite the opposite.
But I'll just say that I always do get entertainment, Joe, whenever I see you comment.
Oh, I love Rod though. That's the thing. See, you can be snarky and shitty with him, and then just be like, "But I love you, Rod," and he'll move on, and we can all laugh, and he can rip on us, and we can rip on him, and that's the catch. And Lofty's like that too. Even though people can feel certain ways about him, he can roll with the punches, and sometimes he's also just trying to help keep things entertaining and spicy. Like, he's not retarded, like he's not going to burn bridges with people. He's going to have some fun. He might go a little too far here and there, but overall, people are all friends at the end of the day. And despite our differences, that's just a big thing over here. So you can do that. You can actually make friends of some people that would otherwise be contrarian enemies, such as Rod, because he can just laugh with you, and we can pick on each other, and everyone's fine with it.
We love you, Rod. No homo.
We do. Rod, you're a saint. Probably not. You're probably a complete degenerate. But you know what? I'm going to assume the best about you. Even though I kind of just outed myself with the second part. No, you're fun, Rod. We love you.
I view everything like Rorschach. Black and white, baby. No compromise.
I like that. I'm not opposed to that. The older people get, or that's how they get. So you're on the right track. You do realize there's a lot of gray, but at the same time, you're like, oh, fuck all that gray. I'm old.
Pretty much.
Black and white, baby.
I follow the good Lord, baby. He's black and white. Why can't I be?
Exactly.
I'm voting degenerate. Probably. Aren't we all just a little degenerate? Just a little smidgen.
Yeah, a little. Everyone is. They can't help it. We're stuck with it whether we like it or not. But Rod, now that's degenerate.
Shane, Joe was explaining how you guys met. Do you still keep up with your artwork, or are you more like?
Oh no,
because it sounded like
I just do the writing.
Oh, you just do the writing, but
Yeah,
you said, but
you
did you used to draw?
Not
really.
A little bit, but nothing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how it's always worked. He writes, I draw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought like when you guys met in school, you were both like, like.
Well, we
learning
were.
to
Shane
draw and stuff
doodled
like
and
that.
worked and did artwork. I'd say to this day he still will bust out the old pad just to try to show me something or doodle some stuff out. But like I don't think Shane's you've probably never had the passion level for being like, I'm gonna be a refined artist as much as you've been like, my brain works for writing. Like, this is where I thrive. So
Yep. I like the writing aspect.
Are like those some of your like artworks you done like behind you, or just photos?
Oh no.
Posters
Let's see. That one right there is actually the original art for Swarm's cover.
Ooh,
You
nice.
got Hardline up there, a piece that they did, and I don't know, random pieces I've gotten from indie artists like Phil Diaz and Aaron. Yep. Then those two pieces are JB's. You probably can't see him with the crab, but he did covers for two of my books.
Did you guys hear that Godzilla and King Kong are going to be teaming
Another
up
one
to fight? Yeah, I saw. I did a show and read that article. I need to get back well, not get back, because I never was a huge fan, but I always did wanted to kind of get more into Godzilla specifically. King Kong, I wouldn't mind as well. But
Yeah, I'm not a
I
big
saw the
Kong
first
fan.
legendary ones, but I didn't keep up with any of them. Are you guys pretty like Gojira fans? I saw Shin Godzilla.
Godzilla over Kong. Yeah, I mean, I like the new King Kong stuff though. Like they made him a little bit more likable than like when I was growing up. I just always thought he was dumb. I was always bored of him, especially after when as a kid. I don't know. Is it something about being a boy? Maybe like a giant, monster radioactive lizard running around versus a giant monkey. It just didn't hold up for me. I mean, he breathed radioactive fire. He was always tearing up buildings, and then when you watch Kong, you just didn't get a lot of that coolness.
You wanted to see more destruction. Is what you want.
Yeah, and he always had cool. It was like before Power Rangers as a kid. Like you're always like, what's Godzilla going to fight next? What's the monster of the year?
Well, and there were just there were tons of like kaiju movies anyways. By the time me and Shane were little kids, there were literally like hundreds of Japanese import movies that were all kind of out of the Godzilla universe, and it was ridiculous how much when I was a kid, you could turn on TBS, and probably even to this day, and get a solid like weekend of just big monster movies, one after another, to the point where you're like, this stuff gets ridiculous and stupid, really. Like, I can't believe they made this many damn films and they're still doing this stuff. But I've always been in between.
Like, Space Godzilla is my. I want to see like a newer version.
The legend, I believe it's the Legendary Pictures made a current Kong, because it was Godzilla.
The current Kong, it has the guy who played Loki. Is that what you're talking about? Like this?
I know they're tied together. I know that, because then there was Godzilla, and then another one, then Kong, and then Godzilla versus Kong, and now I think they're teaming up to fight a new monster.
Yeah,
which I hope they actually make an original. Movies. I think there was one in 2000. Well, you're probably thinking of Peter Jackson's King Kong, I would assume. There's another one, if I'm not mistaken. That just goes to show how out of the loop I am. Did you guys ever play King of the Monsters video game, like an arcade game? It was
back in the day, but yeah. I mean, I don't remember it super well, but it was all those kind of so were a few kind of generic games that were similar with just other made up creatures that weren't like real deal movie monsters, but
yeah.
They were fun, but they were so slow moving when we were kids that, like, I think after a while we we're just like, okay, I need Street Fighter speed, and even now that feels slow. But
are you a Street Fighters person or a Mortal Kombat?
I'm both. They were both hugely popular when I was a kid, so like you couldn't really like one and not like the other. The problem was Street Fighter got overshadowed.
Like, I'm an MK fan. I love MK over. I never could get into Street Fighter. I did hear it.
Mortal Kombat was insane when that came out, dude. You remember that? Like, that shit was probably bigger than anything you see nowadays in terms of people losing their minds over that game.
When MK3 hit, like,
oh yeah,
people just obsessed over MK3. I mean, MK2 was good as well, but I remember MK3 was just kind of like,
yeah.
I think that was shortly. I think the movie came out shortly after MK3, within like a couple years or so.
Dude, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I was always a big Mortal Kombat person than Street Fighters, mostly because I'm not a fan of the fighting games where you have to hold back to block. I hate it when it's like, give me a button. I just want to push that button.
I just never a big fan of the Street Fighter like characters. A lot of them. I don't know. I just couldn't gravitate towards it.
I knew
versus like MK always had like I like the darkness of MK. I guess it's such a brutal universe, just dark. The story they really kind of developed, even though the story goes crazy sometimes. You get kind of lost in what the hell is going on from one game to the next, but the different realms and stuff. As far as I know, Street Fighter didn't really have too much of that.
He's a Chaos Smashes. I'm more into anime fighting games like Blaze Blue. I've heard of Blaze Blue, kind of like Guilty Gear 2. I remember when, what was it? Capcom versus Marvel. I remember that was like a huge thing that exploded, where it was just a bunch of different people from
DBZ did pretty
franchise
well,
just
right? Like
duking out.
people like the animes. Like I know there's DBZ fighting games.
Yeah, I mean I love the Budokai games. There's Budokai, Budokai Tenkaichi, and then people are probably still playing Fighters, which is actual PvP. Well, I guess technically Xenoverse, but I don't consider that like super fighting. Like,
Oh, but to be fair, as much as like MK and them, we all have to agree the number one fighting game of all games is Super Smash Brothers Melee. I don't give a fuck who you are. Anybody can sit down, and if they have that controller and they hand you one, you're fucking playing that fucking game. Like
That
please get
was
one
like
down.
one of the best GameCube games ever to come out. Like, I sat on the GameCube and played that game for so long. Oh my god!
I did not get super into it, but
Well, I'm wrong.
yeah.
Man. Well, fuck me.
Well,
There's
fuck
gotta
you.
be that one guy. Cancel him now.
Oh no.
I heard he's racist.
he
What?
doesn't
Like,
like.
Well,
He doesn't
that
like
one
pink blob
maybe.
people.
no, don't
He's
cancel
racist
me.
against
A
Italians and
little racist.
yellow Pikachu's.
Wait, what?
I heard you hate Italians and you hate yellow Pokemon because you're
I do.
you're
I
racist.
do. I hate everybody.
I hear because they're Japanese and Pikachu's yellow that it gets your racist brain just going into high octane.
Oh, dude, it fills my dopamine so quickly. I just constantly need to keep being racist.
It's
In order to
the
fuel
racism
myself.
makes him so happy.
No, like, but I do agree with you, Shane. Like, yeah, that one, like, yeah, if you're with your group of friends and you have Super Smash Bros, like, yeah, everyone's playing it. I just never got into it because I just felt like I was bad, even though like I did feel like I went out of my way to learn the controls, but it just felt like I could never pull them off like my friends could do. So I'm just like I don't know if I have the touch for this. I don't get it.
Oh, dude, I liked it, but I got my butt kicked constantly. I don't think I ever beat Shane Mess at a video game once in my entire life. And I don't think I witnessed anyone else ever beat him once in my entire life, which was always weird. I was like,
I remember
if
when
just
Bart
one
came
of
to the
us win
shop.
at Mario Kart, like one time, let someone else win at Mario Kart, because you're kind of being a motherfucker right now, and you're making the rest of us mad.
We used to play
Mario Kart.
after the shop had closed. We'd have friends come over to the shop, and we'd have like MK matches and stuff like that. I remember Bart came and ran his mouth about MK. I'm like, all right, buddy, fucking
Oh
bring
my
it.
god, he probably got
I destroyed him. I
Yeah.
destroyed him.
Greg is not racist. He hates everyone just like Ryan. I know. I hate everyone equally. I don't get this. What the
Stop
good
the
Lord?
hate.
Hmm?
Stop the hate.
Stop the hate.
Hashtag stop the ginger hate because they're all racist.
It's true. Every freckle's a soul we've collected.
Oh my
That's why when they say gingers don't have souls, I'm like, I know we have to steal each other, but we're immortal, so
Well, that sounds like a good comic book idea right there.
it's a curse.
Just call it the
I
soulless.
will
And
accept.
it's just about a ginger who
Just
collects
a plain
souls and just
ginger?
freckles. Huh?
Just a plain ginger, just
Just a
start
plain
glowing.
ginger. Oh my
Oh,
god.
you're being challenged, Shane. Chaos Smash says I'd like to challenge Shane now. To what? Mario
which
Kart
game?
or Super
You
Smash
could probably
Bros?
get me on Mario Kart. I haven't played it in a minute.
I liked Mario Kart. I mean, I
It's always a
never
fun one.
played the Mario Kart for Super Nintendo. I went
Oh, really?
immediately to Mario Kart 64.
We used to play the Super Nintendo one, and then yeah, the 64 ones where it really blew up though.
I never grew up with a Super Nintendo though, so I had a Sega Genesis. So, but then I had friends who had Super Nintendo, so we would do the whole like switch systems and play those systems.
Yeah, it's kind of the same
Another
way.
one.
I was mostly Sega, but everyone I knew
What's
had Nintendos and Super Nintendos.
I thought Killer Instinct would take off because it was really popular on the Super Nintendo, and they came out with a newer one a couple years ago, but it must have just flopped. But it was.
I mean, that first year it came out, like I remember a lot of people. We were all, a bunch of other 12 and 13-year-old boys. We were all geeking out on Killer Instinct, but like that was it.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
it
same.
never really had a big, like outside of the arcade scene or people that get really into arcade style
Okay.
fighting game stuff. You know, it just I don't know. It never picked up again.
I saw that chaos like the stream kind of flickered a little bit, but we should still be good.
It's because you made that ginger
I
comment.
like saw everyone disappear, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, but not on Melon, like on YouTube and stuff. But now it's back. Killer Instinct, is that the one where you could be the gorilla and like piss on the guy?
Oh man, I can't remember if there's a gorilla or not.
I feel like it was all kind of like it was like almost like cyberpunky theme, but not to the extremes of cyberpunk now, like a generic kind of late 90s version of what that vision might have been. But it was just good. I don't know, look it up on YouTube sometime. It'll probably ring a bell. You'll be like, I've seen some of those characters before.
Yeah, unless I'm thinking of something. Killer Instinct is MK but more fast. And I'm being yelled at. What am I being yelled about? Chaos is like, damn it, Greg. What?
He doesn't understand that some people are still a little younger and they weren't exposed to the 6 months. Some of these things were actually like nationally popular before they died off because something cooler came out right on the tails of it or whatever.
Like I can say, I think it was trying to compete. Like Mortal Kombat was popular, so some brands were trying to.
It sounds familiar. But,
well, tons of people tried to make fighting games in that phase, and at least 60% of them were fucking awful and never took off because they were awful. I mean, Clay Fighters even had a little run. There were a few other Clay type games with fighting that had some little runs. Primal Rage had a little spat, but I mean, they were games that were like one-off popularity. Their sequels never really. Like, I think everyone was sick of it by the time they tried to do sequels to some of these things. And even though they have like cult popularity now, a lot of them, they didn't so much in their time. There were a lot of gems that got overlooked. People got to understand video game aisle was busy AF when we were kids. It gets pretty busy now too. But I mean, when me and Shane were young in the early 90s going to a Toys R Us, there were literally thousands of video game options. Like, it was just two giant endless aisles where you just took a ticket out of a sleeve when you saw the cover of a game you wanted.
Everybody's waiting in line to play like the demo.
Yeah.
At the school, like you wait for that kids to hurry up. I'm like, I want to play the new WWF.
Games were like $60 and $70 when we were kids too. Y'all got to count your blessings when a new game comes out at $60 still, because in 1990, everything like Ninja Turtles got up to $70-$75 because it was during the chip shortage, and it was just tough to get a hold of. Like, Nintendo was pumping out what they could, and oh my god, things got so pricey for a while.
I remember that.
I couldn't coax all my stuff came from yard sales for video games. My parents were not buying anything fresh new from the store. So,
okay, guess the stream cut out again, but it's fine now. Oh my goodness, I don't know. It must be Spectrum's then. I know we had a power outage.
Spectrum's been off and on for me all day too.
Oh, has it? Okay.
It probably is. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's cut out on me at least 5 or 6 times throughout the day that I know of because I was using it, but that doesn't account for all the times it probably happened in between, Because all my TVs and stuff run on it. So, like, if my kids are watching something, I know when the net glitches up because it stalls up every device in the house.
Well, we are past the 2-hour marks. I guess I didn't ask, like, how long can you guys stay? It's up to you guys.
I'm probably going to head out now because I do got to get the kids tucked in for the night and all that stuff.
Okay.
But I do appreciate you having me on. You can give them all my details. I am going to hop out. Shane, I'll talk to you later, you dirty dog. And, yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Right.
Yeah, so Death is at, or I believe actually now over 67K. Link to the Indiegogo is in the description. Check it out if you love that berserker type style. If you love Ava especially, check it out. You won't be disappointed. Very beautiful, different tiers that you can go and get whichever type of reading you like, whether it's manga or a graphic novel. It's all there. Go check it out. Let's get this to over 100K. That'd be amazing. And
yeah, boy.
It'd be very, very sweet. And yes, indeed. Shane, did you want to plug anything or? I think
Oh
we'll
yeah,
just
we have the Swarm mailing list up. So if you check out on Twitter, I have it right in my little link. That'll be our next thing. But we got Death, and Swarm. It's our two main King Toad projects.
sweet. Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and call the stream. But yeah, thanks again, Shane, for hopping
Yeah, no problem, man.
on on the show, and I hope everyone enjoyed the boomerang apparently that I did. So did it all for you folks. But yeah, until then, I will catch you guys on the flip side, and until always, have a good rest of the night. I'm not sure if I'll be streaming video game. See ya, Ginger Weirdo. My gosh. This is it. I don't this is it. All right, I'll catch you guys later.
Later,
Adios.
chat.